That fight happened. Canelo Alvarez does the damn thing. He did what he was brought there to do. And that was do a job. Take out Envy Yildirim. Keep the gravy train rolling. Excite the crowd. Give him a concert. J Balvin. Give him some excitement. Some people in Florida, some people around the country, if you went to that fight. He did his he did what he was supposed to do. Canelo did what he was supposed to do. Nice ring walk, says Kojak. Yes. 92 Aku says, I was born ready. Yes. See, that was funny is that post fight, it reminded me of when Triple G entered the ring after Canelo absolutely shut out Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. And that was like excitement. You know, Canelo shutting out Envy Yildirim and then announcing Billy Joe Saunders doesn't hit as hard. Still fun. Like I said, Canelo came in there and did what he was supposed to do. He was supposed to take out Envy Yildirim. You have to give him credit for landing thunderous power shots, body shots. You know, I don't want to see any words that it was a dive. I don't want to see any of those types of things. It was a guy that was completely outclassed. You know, a 50-1 underdog in some spots that lost. It was just overmatched. He felt a couple of those power shots in round one and said, I'm not going to let my hands go because if I let my hands go, I'm going to get countered. So I'll go shell up and hope for the best. That's what happened. Appreciate everyone joining us. Don't forget to leave some comments in the comment section. There it is. My guy Kojak, nice ring walk. It was a nice ring walk. I enjoyed the ring walk. I enjoyed Michael Buffer. I kind of like this Canelo World Tour that we're on. You know, go to a different state, go to a different city, kind of adopt that city's vibes. I hate that word, and then kind of go with it. That was fun. I know. Listen, if you're gonna go in there and absolutely destroy your opponent, give us a show. And Canelo did that. Let's see what this guy says. What do we got here? Jones Nation, Canelo versus Saunders. Nobody in the United States cares. He should be fighting a Plant or Charlo. I agree with you. I agree with you to a certain degree. Canelo Saunders is the type of fight you're not excited for right now, but you'll get a little more excited as the weeks come closer. For Canelo, it's a chance for him to pick up another belt. I wouldn't sleep on Saunders that much. I think he's a live body. I think he's presents some types of issues for Canelo. But you're right. I want to see Plant. I want to see Charlo. I really want to see Charlo. I really want to see Benavidez. But here's the thing. Canelo's only 30 years old. And last I checked, there is going to be a 2022, hopefully, God willing, knock on wood. So let's just be a little patient and, kind of enjoy Canelo. If you like him or you hate him, you have to watch him because he's the best thing going in boxing right now. What do we got here? More comments from Francisco, my guy Francisco. What's up, Duddy? Funny seeing Hearn up there with Canelo and not De La Hoya. Yeah, still getting used to that. Eddie Hearn had himself a week. Had himself a nice couple of months. With the pajamas yesterday. He's doing everything he can to get in the good graces of Canelo. Oscar can't be happy, but Oscar has a lot of money and he has a pretty good stable at Golden Boy. Still got Ryan Garcia, still has Virgil Ortiz. Just signed Zurdo Ramirez. Got that going for him. But yeah, Eddie Hearn is living right now, and we're all witnessing it. What do we got here? Two Beers Podcast. What's up to the Two Beers Podcast? Benavidez, please. Yes. I'll take some Benavidez with a side of Charlo for Canelo. We just got to be patient. We just got to be patient. We know that Canelo is going to be fighting BJ Saunders next, maybe Plant after that. Who knows? Benavidez gets into the mix, and then we can see that one as well. 92 AAQ. So is Plant still waiting till September with no fight? Because I don't know if you guys watched over on Fox, Anthony Durrell and Kyrone Davis fought to a draw. And I think that everyone, the Fox and the PBC were setting up Caleb Plant for Durrell, or Durrell for Plant. Who knows? I would still like to see Plant versus Durrell if Plant is going to not get a big fight next. Obviously, the fight I really want to see is Caleb Plant versus Benavidez. The winner gets Canelo, but we're boxing fans. We can't expect nice things. So I wouldn't be surprised if Plant just waits. I talked about this on the pre-fight show. If you had a lottery ticket like that, and you could go outside, potentially someone can rip it out of your hand. You're walking around holding it like this. This is the Canelo lottery ticket for Plant. And you go outside and someone can rip it out of your hand and run away with it. Or you can stay inside, which a lot of us have been doing in the world during COVID. I expect Plant to I don't know what Plant's going to do, to be honest with you. But I wouldn't fault him for either way. What a night. There were some really good fights tonight. All around. It's funny, a night with Canelo Alvarez, a night with a lot of rising prospects, a night with Anthony Durrell, who's a two-time world champion, and Jerry Forrest, heavyweight journeyman Jerry Forrest, steals the show as he fights back, hitting the canvas 3 times to get a unanimous, or I should say a draw against Zhang. To me, that was the fight of the night. That was the most entertaining fight. It was the most back and forth fight. It was the heavyweights always bring it. The heavyweights, my man Robbie Rinaldi. Where are you at, Robbie Rinaldi? He always says that he wants to see a heavyweight fight on every single card. I'm all for it because, listen, it wasn't the most pure of fights. It wasn't like a fight that, Harry Greb aficionados out there, the Lee Wileys of the world, are going to break down one day, Zhang and Jerry Forrest. But it was entertaining. It was fun. You've seen 2 large men swing for the fences at each other, hit the canvas, get up, holding, laying on each other. That's fun. That's a lot of fun to me. Forrest showed a ton of heart, but he probably shouldn't call out Joshua. Yeah, that was hilarious. He's walking out of the ring. He's feeling real good. I want Joshua. Oh, man. I love this sport. Regis Prograde tweeted, my man just fought to a draw, then called out Anthony Joshua. Lou DiBella, who represents Jerry Forrest. Get Joshua for him. I'd love to see that. Oh, man. What a night. That fight, the ring walk lasted longer than the actual fight. That's, it was something, man. It was something. What else do we have tonight? What's some other fights to be had? McWilliams Arroyo absolutely blasted out late replacement Adrian Rodriguez. Zhang and Forrest, like I just talked about. Anthony Durrell fought to a split draw with Kyron Davis. Anthony Durrell talked a lot of smack leading up to that fight. Told Kyron Davis, you're going to have to go back to YouTube rapping. That's what happened. It's a humbling sport, boxing, because now he gets a draw. We'll see what happens with that. Keyshawn Davis. I spoke very highly of Keyshawn Davis all week long. A prospect that was probably going to medal at the Olympics, potentially win a gold medal for the first gold medal since Andre Ward. He won in his debut. Interesting to see where he goes after this. It was only a 1-fight deal with Matchroom. Will he sign with Top Rank? Will he go to the PBC? It's a pretty good move on his part. It's unconventional if you're a prospect to not sign a long-term deal, because you take a look at some of his performance. You take a look at the reactions of the fans from Keyshawn Davis, and so maybe PBC throws in a couple more dollars. Maybe Top Rank tries to secure him. Maybe Matchroom tries to keep him. So good debut from Keyshawn Davis. Mark Castro won tonight. Vito Milnecki won tonight. Diego Pacheco won tonight. Michelle Rivera won tonight. Those were all fighters under the age of like 22 or 23. Milnecki's only like 18. This is a really good time in boxing in terms of what's going on in terms of the prospects. We got some more. Don't forget to leave comments. I'm going to interact with you guys for as long as I got left in the tank. Kojak, you think other fighters like /Joe to show Eddie Matchroom do? I think Eddie is opening a lot of eyes. Even Ryan Garcia, did you guys catch this during the long fill? They asked him about that, and Ryan Garcia goes, "Yeah, I want to be a part of a show like this." So yeah, I do think Eddie is kind of has always been a guy that says, I want to entertain. Boxing, yes, is about the sport inside the ring, but it's also a show. Like, you're paying dollars to be entertained. You're coming out there to see like a big spectacle. And Matchroom is really good at that. From Anthony Joshua, what we've seen over the years with the 90,000 at Wembley, now Canelo. It's really, really. I do think a lot of fighters are on notice of seeing that. Let's see, my boy Los. What is good, Los? Right here, my boy Los is one of the best editors in the game. What does he got to say? Canelo. Could Canelo run out really good opponents in his aim to be the best Mexican boxing? That's the thing. I really do think now we're entering like the second portion of Canelo's career, post 30, where he's starting to think about legacy. He's starting to think about the belts. And you can see he's getting asked a lot about being the best Mexican ever. He's getting asked a lot about, Julio Cesar Chavez Sr. So in order to be that guy, in order to be the best Mexican ever, you have to take on the opponents. And they're certainly out there, man. They're certainly out there between Charlo, Benavidez, Beterbiev, Caleb Plant. Maybe Andre Ward comes out of retirement. Who knows? I don't think he's going to go back up to 175 anymore. Maybe a catchweight if Ward ever came out of retirement. I'm probably leaving out some names. Let's see what with Edgar Berlanga does. Maybe in like 2, 3, 4 years, Berlanga's on the rise. Canelo's that 35-year-old grizzled vet. But he's got a long way to go to be the best Mexican ever. But I think it's something that's in his mind. I really, really do. We got more messages here. What we got? Damn, feel bad for my champion Oscar. Seeing Canelo happy must feel like seeing your ex happy with another guy. It's so true. That is the perfect analogy. Not just seeing him in the ring afterwards and potentially being the guy to broker that third Golovkin fight. If Eddie Hearn does that, the pajamas, the flirting between Canelo and Hearn. You could see that Canelo respects Hearn and he really likes him. It's tough. It's tough. Bival versus Canelo. There's another name. There are a lot of names out there for Canelo to fight. Two Beers Podcast, my guys, salute. Salute to the Two Beers Podcast. Salute to all the podcasts out there grinding. I know how hard it is. Beterbiev, Berlanga, music to our ears. Yeah, me too. I'd love to see that. How about Michael Buffer being back? Did that give you goosebumps? It sure did for me. That was Michael Buffer's first fight back in over a year. He didn't get COVID. He was just playing it safe. He's an older guy. And you can tell that guy lives and breathes boxing. I've gotten to know him over the years. He loves boxing. He is a boxing historian. He's there. He knows every fighter. If you're making your debut, if you're a journeyman, Michael Buffer knows who you are straight up to the Canelos of the world. Great to see him back in the ring. Still has it in his 70s. That was awesome. I love that. What do we see here? Carlos Los didn't like Buffer using his brother's suit jacket. Yeah, maybe he was. He had a whole year to think about what he was going to wear, and he went with the Bruce Buffer. Listen, both Buffers. That's an amazing story. Half brothers that didn't even know they were brothers. Bruce met up or seeked out Michael Buffer later on in life, became the UFC voice. It's a great story. Michael Buffer is boxing royalty, my friends. What is he saying here? Enzak, trying another stream. Most are haters and use no rational points. I don't know what you mean by that. I'm very much not a hater. I never hate. What do we got here? Two Beers again. Forget Mexican boxer. If he runs 168 and beats Charlo and Beterbiev, does he close the Floyd gap? Yeah, I don't really have Floyd as the best ever. I have Floyd as probably the best of this generation. But yeah, he does close that. He's closing that gap already. I mean, he's. I put out a video earlier today saying, the closest thing we have to Floyd in terms of style wise, hit and don't get hit, get out worked every round, still go for the knockout is Canelo Alvarez. So yeah, I think that Canelo has a lot of motivation inside, self-motivation. Like I just said, whether it's being the best Mexican fighter ever, being the first ever undisputed at 168, wanting to be the best of this generation, eclipse Floyd maybe in money. That's going to be hard to do. Eclipse Floyd in just like being a people's champion. Who knows? Who knows? But a lot of things are out there that are motivating Canelo Alvarez other than just the money, because he has all the money. He's just going for glory now. Isn't that what they say? Go for glory and the money will come. So appreciate you guys joining me here on Inside Boxing Live. This is not Inside Boxing Live. This is the Inside Boxing Live post-fight show. We will be doing an Inside Boxing Live on Monday this week because I'm headed out to Flint, Michigan next weekend to be the host of the Clarissa Shields all-women's pay-per-view. I am leaving New York City for the first time in a year. I haven't been to a fight live in a year. The last fight I was at was Adam Konacki and who did he fight? Who did Adam Konacki fight? It's the Nordic Nightmare. It's coming out of my mind. But that's the last fight I was at. March 8th, 2020. 3 days before the world got shut down, I was at the Barclays Center with 10,000 screaming Polish fans. No one was wearing masks. That was the last fight I've ever was at, but I'm back on the road next weekend hosting the Clarissa Shields pay-per-view. Go out and buy it over on Fight TV. Support female boxing. They need our support just as much as anyone. Healiness. Thank you, Glos. Yes, the last fight I was at live was Konacki versus Healiness a year ago. Man, I miss being ringside. I tell you what, I tweeted this, that if you've never been to a live boxing event, a live fight, you have to go. If you're a sports fan, if you're not a sports fan, you're a casual boxing fan, if you're a hardcore fan, you've been to a fight. You have to go to a live fight. Imagine being at that stadium, even if it's only filled to 20,000 like it was tonight, still loud. You get to see like the pyrotechnics and the fire and the entrances, and it's a spectacle. There's nothing like it. There's really nothing like it in all sports. I'm not just saying that because I work in boxing. It's hard to compare it to any other thing because it's just like it's like kind of like a Super Bowl kind of vibe. It's like a one-night event, but it's also a fight. So everyone is like revved up. The crowd has a lot of energy. There's a lot of nationality behind it. Marty, Saunders will make for a fun fight buildup. Couldn't agree more, Marty. Saunders got the gift of gab. He also has what he has going for him is a lot of people can't stand him. A lot of people want to see him get what happened to Anvi Yildirim. They want to see that happen to BJ Saunders, given what's happened the last couple of weeks, some of the stuff that he's been doing on social media. Saunders isn't the most beloved figure in boxing, so that's going to play in the promotion. He'd be smart if he played into that heel role. Doesn't mean he has to go on social media and do some of the things he's been doing over the last couple of months and years, but be a little bit of a heel, talk some smack, try to get under Canelo's skin. It's a good buildup, and he's also a good fighter. Let's be real here. BJ Saunders, his best days are probably behind him, or they are behind him defensively, but he's still a tricky guy. Still a very tricky guy in there. What do we got? I got that one already. Send your comments over. Seems like Canelo really has turned into the people's champion. He's getting respect from fighters too. Started around the Kovalev fight. Yes, it did start around the Kovalev fight, jumping up to 175 when he didn't have to, knocking out Kovalev when he was probably down on a lot of the cards, and just like going about it the right way. Like even the dispute with Oscar, didn't really get that ugly. It got resolved. He's now his own boss. Every fighter wants to be their own boss. Every fighter has their own promotional company. Edgar Berlanga has his own promotional company. Good for him. But I'm just saying, everyone wants to be their own boss. He is the guy. He makes the most money. He's humble. He's a great ambassador for the sport. Canelo is the man right now. So, he is the people's champ. So this debate between of who's going to be the best Mexican of all time is Julio Cesar Chavez, period. 115 fights in 13 years, says Vato Locos Forever. It's going to be, that is what Julio Cesar Chavez Sr. has going for him. There's a lot going for him. But the fact that it was a different era. They fought like once a month. Canelo's not going to fight 115 times. He already has close to 60 fights and he's 30. How many fights is Canelo Alvarez going to get to? I think he's 55-1 now. If you're in the chat, send me Canelo's record, because maybe he gets to like 80 fights. 80. If he gets to 80 and he goes 78 1 and 1. I'm using my brain here. It's pretty good. Pretty good. I think he's going to go to the Hall of Fame if he does that. If the Hall of Fame's still there. Everybody try to do that. Try to raise some voices. Damn, good question. Thanks. Canelo Alvarez goes in there and does the damn thing. Let's try to pull up the CompuBox punch stats. Who do you guys want to see Canelo fight? Send me some comments. Who do you want to see him fight? Obviously, he's fighting BJ Saunders next. Who do you want to see him fight in September? Do you want to see Triple G? Do you want to see Plant? Would you want to see Benavidez? What do you want to see from Canelo Alvarez next? Here it is. Punch stats. Oh my goodness gracious. Canelo Alvarez outlanded Anvil Yildirim 67-11. 25 of those 67 punches landed were body shots. Look at the power department. 58-4. He also hit the under. The over-under was 4.5 rounds. Got that. Told you guys to take that one. So throw me some money. I'm just kidding. I don't want any of your money. 50, what is it? 55. There we go. That's Canelo's record. Canelo's record is 55-1-2. So he has 58 fights. He might get to 75. He might get to 70. He fights 2-3 times. He wants to fight 3 more times this year, which would be crazy. That would be crazy if he did that. 55-1-2. Yep. Thanks, guys. This guy said he lost his house on Yildirim. Mark Pinkerton, there's no way you bet Yildirim. If you did, I'm sorry to hear that. And maybe we should start a Kickstarter to get your house back. You did not bet on Anvil Yildirim. No one did. You're trying to be funny, Mark Pinkerton. Canelo versus Benavidez is the best matchup, but probably be Plant, says Marty. Yeah, Canelo Benavidez, man, Mexican versus Mexican. You know, Canelo has come out and said that he doesn't want to fight another Mexican. I don't know what that means. I don't know if that means Mexican American because Benavidez is a Mexican, but he's born here in the States. Benavidez messed up, man. When he didn't make weight in August and lost his belt on the scales, he really messed up because that would have been awesome. Emily, what are you saying here, Emily? What does it start? What does that mean? Does it start? What time does it start? I don't know. What time does what start? The party has started already, Emily. We're already going. We're live here. We're live on Twitch. We're live on YouTube. We're live on Twitter. The post-fight show. Going to keep trying to do these every time I can. Probably not next weekend. There isn't a lot of big fights next weekend. But the following weekend, baby, let's go. Chocolatito Estrada 2. That is going to be fireworks. You guys ready for the upcoming stretch? I will end the show by going down the next couple weeks, but there's still more to talk about. We're still talking about Canelo. What do we got here? Two Beers Podcast. If Mark bet on Yildirim, he doesn't deserve a Kickstarter. We'll buy him a beer, though. Yeah, he's going to need beers. He's going to be the guy on the side of the street with a "Why lie? I need a beer" sign. He didn't bet on. He's busting balls. He did not bet on Anvil Yildirim. Melissa. What's up, Melissa? My friend on Twitter. Go follow Melissa. She's great. Would like to see him fight Plant or Charlo. Yes, me too. Plant especially, because it's for a title. It would be for all 4 belts. I really like Caleb Plant. I think he's would be great. Would be a great promotion. He's really serious, just like Canelo. He's really talented. I just don't know about Plant. I think iron sharpens iron, and if Plant sits out until September, or if Plant takes a soft touch again, that would be 4 soft touches in a row. That's not what it takes to beat Canelo. That's really not what it takes. You're welcome, Melissa. Emily was sleeping. Yeah, I think she was. I think she slept through the fight. If you blinked, you missed that fight. If you got up to get another drink, you missed that fight. Kind of had like a Tyson vibe to it. Mike Tyson, you know, the back in the 90s when he would just blow people out in 90 seconds. Don't blink, don't leave your seat, get all your refreshments, stay in front of the TV. Yeah. What do we got here? We got more comments. Love the comment section tonight. You guys are really bringing it. But how they, Charlo, Plant, David, BJ Saunders, become stars if everyone is holding on to the lottery ticket? Exactly. It's a big problem in boxing right now. This is what happens when Canelo shows his hand. He said, I want all 4 belts. So if you're Caleb Plant, you have one of the belts. And you fight your whole life to get an opportunity like Canelo. I don't care what any of you guys say. You would probably do the same thing if you were Caleb Plant. Like Caleb Plant will tell you that he's built different than the rest. He's dedicated his entire life to this. He practically came from nothing in Tennessee. And you potentially are staring down the biggest payday, change your life forever, change your kids' lives and their kids. I mean, do you blame him really? So it's not the best option. It's not going to help him win. And this could be same thing can be said for a lot of these guys. That's why Benavidez versus Jamal Charlo. If it was a perfect world, we'd get that fight next. You know, because Charlo will be moving up to 168. He would probably Benavidez will be on the comeback trail. If Charlo fought Benavidez, or if Benavidez fought Plant, then you have yourselves a bona fide contender for Canelo. It would make the pay-per-view massive, because that will be a pay-per-view because PBC and Fox will be involved. So it's very frustrating as a fan. I agree. But I don't fault them for holding on to it. If it was a perfect, we get Spence versus Crawford. Yes, we can go down the list forever, Melissa. We can go down the list. So if boxing was perfect, it would be the number 1 sport. I truly believe that. If all the best had to fight each other and there was like one overarching like league, you'd get like every single weekend would be insane. Like I can't even think about it. It's not even worth thinking about because like I'll get upset. But it's pretty good. The product's pretty good right now as it is. No way in hell Plant risked that cash out against Canelo, says Gonzalo Torres. I agree. No way. Like, why would you? If you have that lottery ticket in your hand, you're going to wait. But who knows? Maybe Plant will get tired of hearing it from fans. I know for a fact that fighters, they look at their Twitter mentions, they look at their Instagram comments, it gets to them. You know, remember when everyone was dropping cherries in Danny Garcia's Instagram comments after he fought Rod Salka? That stuff gets to these fighters. They hear it. You know, that's the best way to get fights made. Not the best way, but it's one way. Let your voice be heard. Go on Twitter. Call for the fights. You know, demand them. It's really the best way that you can get these fights. What do we got? My man Marty. You think Jacobs gets a big fight at 168 this year? Oh, man. Danny Jacobs. I'm still just trying to figure out what happened with that fight with Gabe Rosado. Danny Jacobs, love him as a person, obviously overcoming cancer and everything he stands for, a Brooklyn guy just like myself. But he got a lot of money. He got probably overpaid to fight Canelo. Got close to $12 million. He got a lot of money to fight Golovkin. It's hard to train and keep that same fire and desire when you have like 20 million in the bank. But I do think he gets a somewhat of a big fight again at 168 because he's a name and he's a free agent too. So he can kind of pick and choose. I don't know what's next for Jacobs. I really don't think he wants the smoke anymore. That's just my opinion. I could be wrong, but that's just what I think of Danny Jacobs. Boxing would be what the UFC is, minus the wrestling and underwear. I agree. Listen, 2 guys standing in the center of a ring. There's a reason why the greatest UFC fights of all time are like when they stand the whole time and trade, because that's essentially what boxing is. Now, the reason why UFC is so popular is because the best fight the best consistently. Like you might get a dud pay-per-view on the UFC, but you know the following week you're getting a really good fight. You know the weekend after that there's another one coming. Boxing could be that. I mean, it could be the opportunities are endless. What do we got, my man Max Palacios? What do you think about Canelo already being the best Mexican ever? I think he is already in terms of accomplishments. You must have just came into the chat. This is something we talked about earlier in the chat. I don't think he's quite there yet. That's a pretty long list. Julio Cesar Chavez is the guy, in my opinion. But Canelo's getting there, and he has a long ways to go. It's all in front of him. It's all there for him. Canelo is a guy that loves legacy. Clearly, he's chasing belts now. He's chasing legacy. He's going to be asked this, too. He's going to be asked. Every interview he does, they're going to ask him about, do you think you're the best Mexican ever? Because there's such a great, long lineage of great Mexican fighters. Mexican fighters, and Mexican fight fans are the lifeblood of the sport. I've always said it, and I'll say it again. The boxing would be nowhere without the Mexicans. Let's see. Danny touching M's? You don't understand. I'm touching M's. Hey, Danny touched too many M's. It's, what's the old saying, Marvin Hagler? It's hard to train when you're sleeping in silk pajamas. That's Danny Garcia. Can't knock the hustle. Good for him. Made a lot of money. But, he's kind of like in the celebrity world now. I think he's dating Russell Simmons' daughter. Danny Jacobs is living, baby. Can't fault him. But I think his best days are behind him. Charlo versus Danny for his first fight at 168. Danny who? Oh, Charlo versus Danny. Yeah, I mean, those guys have a beef. Those guys have I was there that night at the Barclays Center when they kind of like were yelling at each other. And yeah, that would be great. I don't think Jacobs would take that fight. I want to see Danny Jacobs for like a Berlanga. Like Danny Jacobs, he's such a good name. Like he's a name. Like there aren't a lot of names at 168 yet. It's like Canelo and the rest, and like all the 160 guys are going to move up. If you're around 154 to 168 or 175, you want Canelo. He's like the cash cow. So a lot of guys at 175 are going to probably move down. A lot of guys at 160 are going to move up. Andrade is going to move up to 168. If you're at 160, like Munguia, Charlo, they all want Canelo, and we want to see it as fans. Joe Beck, what's up, man? Welcome to the chat. Welcome to the show. If crowds are back, do you think there will be a Canelo Plant fight in September? Yeah. I think Canelo is going to fight Plant in September. Like, if I was a betting man, that's the bet I would put down. BJ Saunders and then Plant. But the wild card in all of this is Golovkin. The Zone wants that fight bad. Eddie Hearn represents both of them right now. Well, technically, yes, he does. Eddie Hearn could be the guy that delivers the third Triple G fight. The Zone wants it. Golovkin wants it. Eddie Hearn wants it. Does Canelo want it? That's what remains to be seen, because they can show Canelo, this is what you'll make against Plant. This is what you'll make against Saunders. This is what you'll make against Triple G. And Triple G is going to bring in a lot more money than Plant and Saunders. It is prize fighting. He could probably knock out or stop Golovkin. Still be a really good fight. Go back and watch the first two fights between Golovkin and Canelo. I understand one of them was 4 years ago and the other one was 3 years ago, but Golovkin still has enough left in the tank to make it exciting. And you're watching that fight. Don't tell me that you're not. Billy Joe will be flattened like Amir Khan if he moves around and just do outside range. Will get clipped by Canelo. Mexican power. Night, says the White Tiger. Yeah, probably. See, that's the thing when you fight Canelo is you have to let your hands go in order to score points. But when you do that, you're at risk of getting countered. And Canelo is the best counter puncher in the game, best body puncher in the game. Top 5 jab. Probably now, after that performance, is number 1 in overall connect percentage and number 1 in overall power punch percentage. He's the best. Canelo is the guy. It's going to take your best night and probably him not at his best night in order to beat him. Canelo will smash Triple G with body shots. Yeah, I mean, that's his MO. And Golovkin doesn't go to the body at all. I think he only landed 8 body shots in their 2 fights. I don't know. Let me know. Would you guys want to see a Triple G Canelo fight in September? That's the question. Do you want to see that? I wouldn't mind it. What do we got here? I don't think BJ Saunders does better than Khan. Khan was winning because Khan has speed. That's the best way to upend Canelo is with speed and movement, like Lara did, like Trout did, like Khan did. That's why a lot of people think that Plant has a decent shot because he's a little shiftier than Saunders. Benavidez doesn't have a lot of speed, but he has power. He's plotting. He's big. He's got that going for him. But Canelo has beaten big opponents. Look at Canelo's stats against fighters 6 foot or taller. freaking destroys them. Best chin too. Yeah, he does have the best chin. The people asking or saying Canelo can be or he is ready the best Mexican boxing, they don't know nothing about boxing. This is Jose Suarez. Yeah, I wouldn't go that far. I think all fans know something about boxing. I don't like disparaging the fans. But I don't think Canelo's the best ever yet. He's in the discussion. He's like in the room, maybe knocking on the door, maybe inside the room, but he's not there yet. Two Beers Podcast would buy it. They'd buy it. I'm assuming that you're talking about Canelo and Triple G. You know you're gonna watch that fight. Stop it. If you're gonna sit here and tell me with a straight face you're not gonna watch Triple G Canelo, especially if it's on DAZN for your either you have the yearly subscription or the monthly, you're lying. You're absolutely lying. Omar says his pizza hasn't arrived yet and the fight is over. Yeah, that's about right. Like it's like Tyson. Like I've heard stories from my pops and stories from people in boxing that when they would go to Tyson fights or during Tyson's heyday, you had to be in your seat with your food, your beers, your drinks, whatever you do to party before the fight starts. You better watch the ring walk too, because Tyson's ring walks were absurd. He was just actually there tonight. Tyson was in attendance tonight. Ryan Garcia was there. Teofimo Lopez was there, and Devin Haney was there. So Devin Haney, Teofimo Lopez, and Ryan Garcia are all there. You better go after this is over. Go check YouTube. Go check Marcos Villegas Fight Hub. Go check Ellie Seckback. Go check Michelle Joy Phillips. They're probably getting a lot of interviews as we speak right now, but you ain't getting this live coverage right now. This Q&A we got going right now. Canelo Alvarez picks up the win. Does it in impressive fashion. Oh, wow. This is the question to end all questions here. I'm a New Yorker. Yes, I am. Pineapple on the pizza is fire, right? No. No respectable New Yorker puts pineapple on their pizza. I said it. Deal with it. Kate Abdo was there. Yes, shout out to Kate Abdo. Actually worked with Kate Abdo at Fox. Did a few segments with her. Great woman. Really knows her boxing. And she's awesome. What do we got here? Marty, you think Ryan Garcia fights Tank this year? He keeps calling for it. I don't know. Ryan Garcia, the fight with Pacquiao is not happening. I'm pretty bummed about that because I was really excited for it. I got a lot of flack for being excited for Pacquiao Ryan Garcia. That fight looks like it's not falling through. I think Ryan Garcia just calling people out. Like, I hate to use this word. He's doing it for clout, as the kids say. I don't think he fights Tank. I don't think he fights Pacquiao. I think he fights like a Fortuna type. I think Linares is going to fight Devin Haney. That leaves Fortuna open for a fight. That's like would make more sense. Like, I'm coming down off this Pacquiao high, this Pacquiao pipe dream for Ryan Garcia. Then if you're going for his development and him and making fights with Tank Davis, like really good fights, as opposed to like not ready yet, Ryan Garcia should fight like a Javier Fortuna. Melissa, what's up, Melissa? Why Ryan Garcia calling out Tank? He should fight Haney first. Yeah, they should, because going back to the theme of in a perfect world, like I'm pretty sure that Haney has a secondary WBC belt that isn't, or he has the WBC belt that, and Teofimo has the franchise, and Ryan Garcia has the interim. So Haney and Ryan Garcia should fight for the regular WBC belt. And that's a fight that should be able to be made because they both fight on DAZN. But will it be made? Probably not. Alex Correa. So Darrell got a draw. Crying face. Yep. A split draw. They landed within 5 punches of each other in 11 of the 12 rounds. And I know you're laughing because Darrell talked a lot of crap before the fight. He was making fun of Kyrone Davis for being like a YouTube rapper. Humble pie. Boxing is the most humble pie sport to come across. You're welcome. Thank you, Melissa. Says Two Beers Podcast. I think you guys are having your own conversations in the chat. Am I brokering friendships here? Love it. Gonzalo Torres said his team is now speaking to Davis. Should we believe him? I don't know what to believe at Ryan Garcia anymore. Uh, I mean, he said that he was talking to Tank Davis's team before the Pacquiao fight came. Then he was all on the Pacquiao train. Now he's going back to the Devin Haney train. I don't know. I don't know what to think anymore. I think it's good that they're kind of using each other's names to get popularity. I think it's a good thing. I'd rather see them fight. I don't think the fight is ready yet. As crazy as that sounds, like, why can't they fight next year? Why can't they fight? Take another step up from Luke Campbell for Ryan Garcia, and then Tank. Tank hasn't even fought at 135. He's fought once at 135 against Pedraza. He's fighting at 130. Guy's not even a lightweight. So I want to see Tank fight at 135 against a good opponent, and then Ryan Garcia can fight like another Luke Campbell type, and then they can really meet in like a really, really big fight next year. I almost dropped my drink. Maybe official the idiot says, when does the fight start? Fight's over, pal. You got to get up and leave now. Fight's over. Please leave. Canelo won. If you fell asleep, if you left the room for a second, if you ran down to the bodega, that's a New York term. If you went to go get more drinks, the fight is over. Canelo Alvarez won. He moves on to being just the man. He's the man right now. He is the man in boxing. Canelo Alvarez. We're getting texts now, too, that people want to read. It's exciting that Canelo has all these great opponents to fight down the road. Many great champs often run out of opponents. That is a really good point from my pops, Bob Canobio, the creator of CompuBox. What's up, Bob? I'll use an analogy. Shakur Stevenson is a great young fighter, but he's always left out of the great young fighter discussion for some reason. Like, he's right on the edge. And I've said this to him before. I said, I think you're left out of the discussion because you don't have a dance partner. You don't have a natural rival. Teofimo Lopez burst onto the scene because every interview he called out Lomachenko and then eventually got that fight. There is some luck in boxing, considering how fragmented it is. Shakur Stevenson doesn't have a dance partner, doesn't have a natural rival, doesn't have someone that's calling him out, doesn't have someone that's constantly in his mentions calling each other out. Canelo has opponents. You need a dance partner in boxing. You're only as good as the other guy in the ring. That's why Mayweather was the king, because he took on the best guys. He was very complimentary of these guys. He was smart enough to know that a McGregor fight would make a lot of money. He's doing the same thing with Logan Paul to a much lesser degree. He did that. I mean, Mayweather fought everybody, whether they were past their prime is a debate for another day. Jose Suarez, the opponent Yildirim of Canelo fight won $26 million. Is that a lot of money for somebody to quit? I don't think he won $26 million. I think you got wrong information there. I bet you his purse was somewhere around $1 million tops. Listen, get that money, player. To quote the famous Richie Dwyer, if you're play the game right, work the game. Anthony Yildirim was the mandatory challenger to Canelo, whether you agree with that or not. He did what he had to do, and he cashed in. I'm never going to fault a fighter for making their money. Not $26 million, though. Not $26 million. You're wrong there. Marty says Colbert versus Stevenson. Wow. That's really good. Stevenson wins that fight. Stevenson is on another level defensively. Of course, Stevenson is so good, and he's just scratching the surface. I put out a video today on who's the next Floyd Mayweather, and I think a lot of ESPN has already done this, comparing him to Floyd. He has like the same natural defensive instincts as Floyd. Maybe a little more marketability. Look at this, guys. Look at this. 100 messages in this chat. Appreciate every one of these messages. That's awesome. We're talking boxing. It's the best sport in the world. And I love talking boxing with you guys. I saw a really good chat. A really good question. I wanted to see one of the 100 messages that we've gotten so far. F the haters. As boxing fans, we can't get excited for Ryan versus Pacquiao. Have the other options? Exactly. Listen, my man, 92 AKU. I went on Twitter and I said, and I proclaimed that I love Ryan Garcia versus Manny Pacquiao, and I got dragged. People were like calling me like names and saying that, how could you want to see that fight? Because it's a fun fight. Boxing's fun. We should be entertained. You're telling me Ryan Garcia versus Manny Pacquiao is not an intriguing fight? That's like insanely intriguing. That's the type of fight where your non-boxing friends text you. That's the type of fight where you make sure you got to be there. So I agree with you. Let's get excited for that. Thank you, Two Beers Podcast. 2.5 million for Yildirim. I'm not surprised. Listen, it's legitimately hitting the lottery when you fight Canelo. When you're at the negotiating table, you can ask for more money. You know that there's more money in the pot. You know that Canelo, Matchroom needs the fights. You know that Canelo needs the fights. He's got a big contract. So 2.5 million is fine with me. Going back to this question here. Valdez versus Stevenson. Wow. Oh man, I'm trying to not use recency bias here and just say Oscar Valdez because of that performance that he put on against Burchelt was one of the best performances in a title fight that you'll see in the last 20 years. I still rate Stevenson really high. I think Stevenson finds a way to win. I don't know. That's a really tough one. Valdez is just battle tested, man, but he's also a little shop worn. Been in a lot of wars. Stevenson's fresher. I hope that happens. I really do. I don't think it's going to happen, but I hope it does. I think that Valdez is going to fight the winner of Frampton Herring, and Stevenson's kind of going to be on the outside looking in a little bit because he's the youngest, and they're really like taking care of his. They're really like keeping a close eye on his career. Top Rank. Top Rank. They need to take a look at their fighters a little closer. The White Tiger's back. Looks like Canelo paid the concert with his entrance. That was a fun entrance. What'd you guys think of that entrance? I thought the last one was better with the mariachi doing the final countdown. I thought that one was better. This one was fun, too, because J Balvin, Miami vibes. First of all, how disrespectful was that to Yildirim? Not only making him wait for like 7 minutes, but the fact that like Canelo was like dancing and smiling and like, I don't care about what you have. You're going to offer nothing to me so I can afford to smile and dance and basically like have fun on the job. And I'm probably going to just smoke you out. And he did. So I was very highly disrespectful to Yildirim, but on the other hand, he's just got $2.5 million. So who's laughing there? Who would I like to see Canelo fight next? I like that. Asking me some questions. Jose Acosta. Charlo. Jamal Charlo. I think it would be the biggest fight you could possibly make right now. I think Charlo is ahead of Benavidez in the pecking order. I know he hasn't fought at 168, but he's a bigger guy. He can fill out. I think the power will translate. I think the intensity is there. The quick twitch is there. Really good jab, really good defensively. One punch knockout power for Jamal. The promotion would be insane. A lot of different demographics coming together on the marketability side. That's the fight I want to see. Jamal Charlo versus Canelo Alvarez. If it was up to me, that'd be next. Melissa's still here. What's up, Melissa? She says, like the mariachi better, but if you're going to go Miami style, bring out Pitbull. Yes, I saw you tweeted that. Where was Pitbull? Mr. 305 is getting disrespected left and right. Because wasn't he also not involved in the Super Bowl celebration last year? Or was he? Last year feels like 10 years ago. I feel like Pitbull has just been like kind of put out to pasture. Like they put that dog down. Like show some respect to Mr. 305. I don't know who that is. Gandhi? Canelo versus Gandhi? Like the Gandhi? Of like historical proportions? I'll take Gandhi in one. My guy says, not only... Hit the music back. Not only... What is it? Not going to lie, I became a hardcore UFC fan during these last 2 years. I know that probably disappoints the legend B. Hopkins. Bernard Hopkins hates UFC, right? Doesn't he always have something like homophobic, something to say about it? I don't blame you for being a hardcore UFC fan. There's a lot of things about the UFC that are attractive. Like, it's a well-oiled machine. Here's the thing. I'm interested in your guys' thoughts on this, whoever's in the chat. Do you want to see fighters paid properly, or do you want to be entertained? or is it somewhere in the middle? Because boxing fans seem to love the fact that the highest paid fighters come from the boxing world, but then you don't get the best fights. In the UFC, they pay their guys, they don't pay their guys as much, but you get the best fights. So it comes down to it. If you're watching a really good fight, do you feel guilty because they're not making the most they can possibly make? That's what intrigues me. That's the intriguing thing about the boxing versus UFC argument. So I think they're two different sports. Two Beers Podcast. What's good? Pitbull was the Grand Marshal of the Daytona 500 for what's that's worth. Well, so he's trying to get into a different demographic, Pitbull. Getting into the NASCAR demo. Good for him. I don't know. Is that like a step? Is that a step down from the Super Bowl? Daytona 500? Probably. I'm a big Pitbull fan. Listen, another thing. I was in Miami for the last DAZN card that was there last year during the Super Bowl. It was the Jake Paul. It was the Danny Roman, the Jojo Diaz card. Andrade headlined for some reason. Miami is an awesome city. Miami better be in the rotation as big fight cities because the weather's great, obviously. The city's on fire. Traffic sucks, but it's a destination. Like the media will want to go. You'll get out of other like non-boxing media will go there, and fans will flock there. It's great for the local economy. I hope that more fights go to Miami. I wish there was something in the middle. Yeah, back to the UFC versus boxing. You wish that UFC fighters got paid more. You wish that maybe boxers got paid less, so more fights can get made. That's the perfect balance. I agree. Melissa says, Pitbull did speak with Canelo on his podcast before the fight. That's big. I'm a big fan of podcasts. I host the podcast, Inside Boxing Live. Go subscribe right now. Mark Pinkerton's back. Did you lose your house? Did you get your house back? I see Canelo versus should he win WBO. Joe Smith, better be Ev. Oh, wow. Canelo has said it. I'm not going to 175 anymore. Kind of have to respect his wishes there. Beterbiev versus Canelo. Everyone's like obsessed with this fight. I don't really see Beterbiev as like the monster that everyone else makes him out to be. Like he's hit the deck before. He can never stay healthy. He's had a long amateur career. If you want to see it, I'm sure Canelo would beat him, and then maybe you can put that to rest. I don't really see Beterbiev as that killer that everyone else does. Jose Acosta says, I have no guilt watching UFC. I also think UFC should up the pay a bit. Well, they're about to because if you've been following along, there's this massive antitrust lawsuit going on between the fighters and the UFC that just went through the next phase, and then we can see a real shakeup in the UFC if that goes through. Pitbull puts on a great concert, says Melissa. I 100% agree. Pitbull's the man. I'm a huge Pitbull fan. We got a new guy in here, Kiani. It's honestly crazy to think that Canelo's only 30 years old and he's accomplished so much, and the scary part is his career ain't done anytime soon. I know. It's honestly insane to think about. He's only 30 years old. Charlo is 30 years old. And think about what Charlo has accomplished compared to Canelo. And he's like showing no signs of stopping Canelo. He's honestly like at the height of his powers right now. And this is a guy that had basically 7 years of being in big fights. Maybe more. 9 years? 2012-ish? I remember what fight was I at? I was at Canelo Cotto. Big pay-per-view fight, my first time ever in Vegas. And Canelo was on the undercard of that fight against an old Shane Mosley. So Canelo's been on the scene for such a long time. And he's only 30 years old, and he still has like 5 to 6 years of big fights ahead of him. I mean, this is awesome. This is why he'll probably go down as one of the best ever Mexican fighters are up there, because he gives you so many great nights. That's what it's all about, too, for the Mexicans, too. It's like that feeling that Canelo gives you, like that sense of pride. And, you know, I'm not Mexican, but I know that Mexican people, whether Mexican Americans or people from Mexico, love Canelo because he means so much to them. So that's really awesome. We got an update on Mark. The house is gone. Just had my phone in this podcast. I appreciate the loyal. I appreciate your loyalty, Mark. You may have lost your house on Envy Yildirim, but you'll always have me, this chat, and the Inside Boxing Live podcast. A couple more. I'm running out of steam. Because look, Tio got paid $4 million. Hell yeah, but you have to pay $50 to see him fight Kambosos. Listen, I know I put out a video, a quick reaction about the purse bid. The fact that I said that Teofimo is a winner in this because he gets paid. Top Rank is a winner in this because they get paid. They get $800,000 to do nothing. George Kambosos, obviously a big winner. He gets paid. The fans kind of take a hit here because now this fight that should have been on regular ESPN or ESPN Plus or even DAZN if they would have won the bid now goes to pay-per-view. But we don't know what that pay-per-view looks like yet. What if Mike Tyson versus Holyfield is on it? It's going to be that type of fight on it. They're going to have to do something to make it worth $50. They're not going to just put Teofimo versus Kambosos and then like another regular fight underneath it. It's going to be a big event. I really believe that. That guy, Ryan Kavanaugh, the owner of Triller, God knows what he's doing. All right, we're going back to Beterbiev. Just imagine Beterbiev getting all the titles this year. Is that not enticing enough for Canelo to become the two-division undisputed champ? Oh, that's interesting. Maybe. Canelo, like I said, is really, really after like the legacy, the belts, the history, wants that all. So if Beterbiev gets through his mandatory, Joe Smith gets through his title fight, then Beterbiev beats Joe Smith, and then Canelo is the undisputed at 168. So much has to happen there. That's like a fight that you're looking like 2 years down the line. And then Beterbiev will be even older and more broke down. So I don't see it. My guy Jose, imagine if Canelo could move his feet like Manny Pacquiao. He doesn't have to move his feet like Manny Pacquiao. He's perfectly fine with how he fights. He'll walk you down. The thing, he doesn't have good footwork or doesn't have quick feet, but he's got the best lateral movement defense, Canelo, in the game right now. And you can make up for bad footwork if you have good lateral movement, and he's always in position to punch. Look at Canelo. When he throws those body punches, he's like perfectly centered, sitting down on his punches tonight. And you don't always have to have be fleet of foot to be successful. Canelo losing to Floyd was truly the greatest thing that ever happened to him. Now, Canelo is not only the face of boxing, but he's the best pound-for-pound fighter in boxing today. Couldn't agree more, man. I put this video out today. Go to my Twitter, and I got some flack for it, of course. I knew I was going to get flack for it because I was comparing. If you compare anyone to Floyd, there's a certain fans that come out and are just going to attack you. But he learned something in that fight. He dared to be great. He lost. Most guys can just shell up and their career is over. But at 23, Canelo decided, I'm going to learn from that loss. I'm going to get better. I'm going to be a businessman. He learned from Floyd in that regard, too. And he also took he's taking pages out of Floyd's playbook inside the ring. Low volume, high accuracy, elite defense. That's the Canelo blueprint. That was the Floyd blueprint during the last 7 years of his career. And I couldn't agree more with you, man. Couldn't agree more. Gonzalo Torres. Do you do these lives often? Great stuff. Thank you. I really appreciate it. I just started doing these last week. I have a podcast that I do every single week called Inside Boxing Live. That's also on the Pluto Sports Network. It's also on Pluto TV on channel 728. But I'm going to do more of these lives. I'm going to start doing them not just after big fights. I'm going to start doing them during the week at night. Maybe once a week. I'll do this right here and take questions, open up some discussions. And just talk, man. It's fun to answer questions live. I love it. It makes you think. You guys keep me on my toes. Love it. Seems like you get flack for anything on boxing. It's so true. I was just thinking about this. I think it's because the nature of the sport is fighting. There's so much built up animosity. Just simply having an opinion. Even the media, boxing media guys that I work with are very competitive and very rarely give each other credit for stories. Very rarely want to be friends. It's just the weirdest sport in terms of a lot of machismo. And I think it starts with the actual fights and it trickles down. But yeah, a lot of boxing fans are very opinionated. So I put out a video today comparing Canelo to Mayweather, and people were like, "Are you crazy?" What do we got here? Max Palacios. Isn't it ironic how Teofimo criticized YouTubers and will probably end up on their undercard? That's also something I said during my my live reaction to. Yes, it is ironic and it's hilarious because a lot of these fighters are putting their foot in their mouth. Even Regis Prograis, who just got announced today, will be the co-main event to the Ben Askren Jake Paul fight on April 17th in Atlanta. he has a few tweets about that YouTubers are trash. They're denigrating the sport. Now he's fighting on that because they got the money, baby. Triller's got the money. Regis Prograis is getting close to $1 million, his highest payday probably, $1 million to fight on Triller against Ivan Redkach. You can say what you want about YouTube fighters. If they show you that check, or they show you that purse. Triller all day. I love Triller. Regis Prograis is going to be thanking Triller every night before he goes to sleep. That's the same thing for Teofimo. A lot of these guys said it. And I think another thing I got flack for was saying that I had no problem with YouTube fights. These guys, the Paul brothers, are geniuses. I know you might not like them. I don't really like what they do or what they're about, but you can't deny that they're amazing marketers. You can't deny that they're entertainers. So if you're a fighter today and you're like, man, why the heck are Jake Paul and Logan Paul making 10 times the amount of money I'm making? Well, do you try to interact with fans? Do you have a YouTube page? Do you create content? Because it's more than just boxing in the ring. People have to care. People have to want to take time out of their day to watch you fight. So I think this whole YouTube craze that's going on right now, celebrity boxing, is a wake-up call to a lot of fighters. And it's also it's like giving boxing like a shot of adrenaline. It's giving like a shot in the arm. Mike Tyson even said it himself. Mike Tyson, after his fight with Roy Jones, said this event wouldn't have been anything if Jake Paul wasn't on it. So you're going to doubt what Mike Tyson has to say? The guy's been through it all, business side. All right, I'm done. I'm running out of steam. Any more questions? What a night. Boxing always comes through, always entertains, always something to talk about. What a great night. Jerry Forrest was my performance of the night. Jerry Forrest. Well, that fight with Zhang was awesome. He called out Joshua after. If there was like a performance of the night, like UFC does, I'd give it to Jerry Forrest. What is your honest opinion on Canelo, BJ Saunders? I truly believe Canelo will win by KO. Saunders is good, but Canelo is great. I can see body shots stopping BJ Saunders. I can also see the fight going the distance in like a 118, 109. What happened here? Yeah, I don't see BJ Saunders beating Canelo. I think Canelo could stop him to the body or a one-sided beatdown. That's what I see from there. Keep it real. Keep doing it. There's a lot of us boxing fans who are fans of all fighters, non-haters. I appreciate you, my man, 92, AKU. Listen, this is what I do. I try to be rational. I try to be positive. I try to bring you a different side of boxing. I've been in this sport for a really long time. I legitimately was born into boxing. So I know it inside and out. I know the business side, I know the in-the-ring stuff. I know the stats. I know the funny parts about it. I try to bring all that to the show here. Peace, 92 AKU. See you next time. Errol Spence versus Canelo. Another thing I got flack for is saying that I don't want to see Errol Spence versus Canelo. I don't want to see it in the next year. Errol Spence is a 147-pound fighter. Weight classes for a reason. I understand it's kind of contradicting the fact that I wanted to see Pacquiao fight Ryan Garcia, but they're basically the same size. Like Ryan Garcia's a little bit taller, but Pacquiao walks around at like 140. Ryan Garcia walks around at like 140. Spence is like, I know he gets big, but like Spence is not, and Canelo are like built different. Not like how kids say built different, like legitimately body-wise built different. And let's see Spence, keep doing this thing at 147. Maybe they can meet down the line in like 3-4 years. That fight was huge. There's no doubt about it that fight would be massive in Texas. Anywhere, but Texas, it would probably fill Jerry World. I was at Jerry World for Spence versus Mikey Garcia, and it was 50,000, which is like half full, and it was the loudest thing I've ever heard, or one of the loudest boxing events I've ever heard. But a Canelo versus Spence, if they keep winning in like 2 years, 3 years, could be a huge event, massive 100,000 type of crowd, 80,000, 100,000, whatever. I just answered that one. You got more tired now than the Canelo on his. I'm legitimately fading right now. If I was in the ring with Canelo and he landed anything on me right now, I'd be like, damn, you guys are bringing a lot of energy out of me. I'm trying to pull up the boxing schedule, the upcoming boxing schedule, to end on a high note because there are some really good fights coming up. What do we got here? Keep up your content. I just strolled through your live randomly. It seems like you have a good boxing knowledge. Keep doing your thing, bro. Appreciate it, my man. Thank you. Follow on Twitter, follow on everywhere. I try to bring a lot of content to the table. A lot of stats, a lot of funniness. I do a weekend recap every Monday that I'll be putting out. Fastest 2 minutes in boxing. Thank you. Really appreciate that. Next week we have March 4th, Puerto Rico. Ring City is back. Then I'm heading to Michigan, Flint, Michigan, for the pay-per-view. I'm hosting the pay-per-view with Holly Holm. Clarissa Shields versus Marie-Eve DeCare. That's undisputed. That's for all 4 belts at 154. Shields is going for her second undisputed. She's got 2 gold medals, 2 different Olympics. Now she's going to have be undisputed should she win. That's going to be a fun card. Go order that pay-per-view. Support me. Support women's boxing. Go do that. March 13th is the granddaddy of them all. It's a fight that everyone has had circled for a long time. Juan Francisco Estrada versus Roman Chocolatito Gonzalez. The rematch, 2 belts on the line. Doesn't get any bigger than this for the little guys. I'll do a pre-fight show. I'll do a post-fight show. I'll put out a ton of content that week. That's the fight to look forward to, March 13th. That's on DAZN. That's going to be huge. Good night, Melissa. Love talking boxing with you. You're a great person. I follow you on Twitter. Thank you. That's March 13th. David Benavidez is in action March 13th on Showtime. Then March 20th, Better Biev is back. All you Better Biev lovers out there. Virgil Ortiz versus Maurice Hooker, March 20th. Amanda Serrano, March 25th. Povetkin versus Dillian White rematch, March 27th. Tim Tszyu versus Dennis Hogan, March 31st. There it is. That's the boxing schedule for the next couple of weeks. March is going to be awesome. February's over. I can't believe it. Hopefully we get better weather. We get the COVID numbers keep going down. The vaccinations keep going up. More fights, more really good fights, more fans. Canelo's the man. Jerry Forrest won the night. The prospects shine tonight. Anthony Durrell got a draw. Michael Buffer came back. Eddie Hearn wore pajamas. Am I missing anything? Anything going off on Twitter? Canelo chases off 2 idiots in the ring, promoting videographer Lucas Brunel during his live interview. Oh my God. 2 guys got in the ring and started promoting something behind Canelo, and he got him out of there. Oh, that will end up in the weekend recap. All right, guys. Thank you for joining the stream. Appreciate every last one of you. We had over 150 comments and messages. We're going to keep doing this. I'm not just going to do it every single after a fight. I'm going to start doing them during the week. I'll have a schedule for that. One last question. What's your opinion on Dillian White versus Povetkin 2? I think Povetkin wins again. It's like a 50-50 fight because rarely do fighters ever come back from knockouts like that, like Povetkin landed on Dillian White. But then also, on the other hand, Povetkin was down twice before he knocked him out. That's going to be awesome. That's the must-watch fight. All right, guys, I'm out. Peace. See you next time. Thank you, everybody.